The Galactic Council chamber was not a normal place. It was a hall bigger than any stadium on Earth, shining with silver walls and glowing lights. Hundreds of alien leaders sat in circles, their eyes fixed on the center table. This was the day the humans were expected to sign the peace treaty. This was the day the Council believed the war would finally end. But humans were late. Minutes passed. Whispers filled the air. Tails and wings twitched with impatience. Many alien leaders looked at the empty human chairs with mocking smiles. "They are always emotional," one alien whispered to another. "They will come crawling. They need this treaty more than us," another said with laughter. Then the doors opened. The sound was heavy and slow, echoing across the chamber. 5 humans walked in, not in military uniform, but in plain, dark suits. Their steps were steady, their faces calm, but their silence was louder than any voice. The aliens watched them take their seats without greeting anyone. The council leader, a tall creature with blue skin and golden eyes, cleared his throat. "Humans," he said with confidence, "today we end this conflict. Today you will agree to peace." The humans said nothing. Their leader, an older man with grey hair and sharp eyes, placed a small data pad on the table. The council members expected him to speak, expected him to beg, expected him to explain. But the man only looked around the chamber, his gaze meeting every alien eye, one by one. The silence grew heavier. The council members shifted uncomfortably. One alien tapped his claws nervously on the table. Another hissed softly. Still the humans said nothing. Finally, the council leader tried again. "You have suffered enough losses. Your colonies are weak. Your fleets are damaged. Accept our terms, and peace will be yours." A wave of laughter rolled across the chamber. Some aliens clapped their hands together. Others banged their tails on the floor in celebration. They were sure humans had no choice. They were sure humans would agree, but the humans remained quiet. The older man leaned back in his chair, his expression cold, almost unreadable. The council leader grew impatient. "Speak, human," he demanded, "or do you not understand the generosity of this council?" And then it happened. The human leader stood up, slowly, without a word. The others followed, their chairs sliding back against the polished floor. Step by step they turned, facing the great doors again, the chamber filled with gasps, murmurs, and sudden confusion. No one had expected this. No one had even imagined it. "They are walking away," one alien whispered in shock. "They cannot do this." "They need us," another shouted. The humans did not stop. They did not look back. Their footsteps echoed louder than the council's voices. With each step, the silence of centuries of diplomacy was broken. With each step, the pride of the Galactic Council cracked. The council leader slammed his fist on the table. "This is madness," he roared. "Return to your seats." But the humans kept walking. Not a single word came from their mouths, not a single explanation, only silence, only steady footsteps, until the great doors opened once more and swallowed them. And then they were gone. The chamber was left trembling with whispers and fear. Some aliens laughed nervously, trying to cover their unease. "They will return," one said. "They always return." Others were not so sure. Their eyes darted to one another, remembering stories of Earth, of wars long past, of humans who never surrendered. The silence the humans left behind was not empty. It was heavy, filled with questions, filled with shadows. Why had they walked away? What were they planning? And most terrifying of all, what would happen next? The Galactic Council believed they were the center of power in the galaxy. They believed peace was their gift to give, their right to demand. But in that single moment, as the humans walked out without a word, the council felt something new. Something they had not felt in centuries. They felt fear. The chamber stayed silent long after the humans left. The doors closed with a deep sound like the end of a chapter, but the echo remained in every ear. Alien leaders sat frozen, eyes wide, minds racing. No one knew what had just happened. For the first time in living memory, a species had walked out of the Galactic Council. Then the silence broke. One alien, a scaled creature with 4 arms, let out a hiss that sounded almost like laughter. "Do you see?" he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. "The humans are nothing but prideful animals. They think silence makes them strong, but without this council they will starve." Others joined him, voices rising, their words filled with mockery. "They cannot survive on their own," one declared. "Their colonies depend on our trade routes." "They will come crawling back," another added. "They always do." A few voices did not join the laughter. A tall insectoid leader with shimmering wings leaned forward, her tone sharp. "You are blind," she warned. "Humans do not bluff. If they walked out, it is because they are ready for something else." But her words were drowned by the noise of arrogance. The majority did not want to hear warnings. They wanted to believe in their power. The council leader raised his hand, and the chamber grew quiet again. His golden eyes glowed with confidence as he spoke. "Let us not give humans more credit than they deserve," he said. "They are clever, yes, but they are desperate. Their fleets are broken, their colonies divided. They cannot fight without us." He leaned back with a smile that carried to the weight of centuries of dominance. "Do not forget it was we who allowed them into this council. It was we who guided them into the stars. Without us, they would still be trapped on their fragile blue world." Some nodded in agreement. Others banged their claws or staffs on the table to show approval. But not everyone was convinced. The insectoid leader spoke again, her wings trembling with unease. "You speak of guiding them," she said slowly, "but I have studied their history. Do you know what happens when humans are cornered? Do you know what happens when they feel betrayed?" A hush fell for a brief moment, but before her words could take root, another alien burst into mocking laughter. "They are nothing compared to the powers of this council. Their history means nothing in the face of our fleets. Let them try, they will be crushed." The council began to argue. Some shouted warnings, others shouted insults. The great chamber became a storm of voices. One elder alien slammed his staff on the ground to demand silence. "Enough," he said with authority. "This is simple. Humans will soon understand their mistake. They will realize no one defies the Galactic Council and prospers. We will wait, and they will return." The arrogance grew stronger with every passing minute. The council convinced themselves that humans were weak. They imagined humans sitting in fear on their little world, regretting the walkout, desperate to return. But beneath all the pride, a quiet unease lingered. Not everyone believed in the illusion of human weakness. Far away, beyond the chamber walls, reports had already begun to arrive. Whispers of human fleets moving strangely, rumors of colonies going silent, not because of weakness, but because of preparation. These reports were pushed aside, dismissed as paranoia. "Do not bring us gossip," the council leader said, when a messenger tried to spar. "Bring us facts. Until then, humans remain insignificant." Yet in the dark corners of the chamber, some leaders exchanged nervous glances. They remembered human soldiers who had fought with unmatched courage. They remembered battles where humans had turned defeat into victory. They remembered words spoken long ago by a dying alien general. "Never push humanity too far," he had said, "for they are fire disguised as flesh." But those memories were drowned once more in arrogance. The council ended the session with laughter and self-praise. They told themselves humans would return, They told themselves nothing had changed. They told themselves the galaxy was still theirs to command. And yet, as the lights of the chamber dimmed and the leaders left one by one, the silence returned, heavy and suffocating, the kind of silence that followed the humans when they walked out, the kind of silence that did not bring peace but promised storm. Far away from the shining halls of the Galactic Council, Earth sat under its grey skies. The planet looked calm, but beneath the calm was fire. In the underground chambers of Geneva, the human leaders gathered, their faces lit by the glow of giant screens. Maps of star systems stretched across the walls, lines of trade, fleets, colonies, all in motion, all under threat. The same council that had promised peace had also tried to bind humanity in chains. Now the humans had decided, no chains, no surrender. The man who had walked out first from the council chamber now stood before his people. He was Admiral Kessler, old but unbroken, his voice low but filled with steel. "They think we are weak," he said. "They think we will return to beg. But we will not return. Not this time." His words spread through the chamber, carried by silence rather than applause. Every human in that room understood what silence meant. It meant unity, it meant decision, it meant war if needed. The council had demanded too much. They had wanted human colonies near the frontier to be dismantled. They had wanted Earth's fleets reduced to a fraction of their strength. They had wanted access to Earth's resources without giving anything in return. To the council, it was peace. To humanity, it was slavery. So the humans chose the harder road, the road of defiance. In the orbit above Earth, the fleets gathered quietly. Ships slipped into formation without public announcement. Civilian trade vessels vanished from council routes, redirected into hidden supply lines. Every day, convoys left Earth, not to deliver goods, but to carry soldiers, weapons, and fuel to distant colonies. The galaxy thought humans were retreating, but in truth they were preparing with patience, preparing with silence. Among the officers, fear mixed with determination. "Can we stand against the entire council?" one young commander asked. Admiral Kessler looked at him with steady eyes. "We do not need to fight the entire council," he answered. "We only need to make them realize their mistake. We only need to make them respect us." And then he added, his voice colder than steel, "If they will not respect us through peace, they will respect us through fear." On Mars, the factories no longer produced civilian goods. Their machines thundered day and night, building weapons, armor, and warships. On the moons of Jupiter, hidden bases came alive. Soldiers trained in silence, pilots prepared in secret, engineers worked without rest. Every colony understood. The humans had chosen a path with no return, and they followed willingly, because every human remembered history. They remembered how their ancestors had survived wars on Earth itself. They remembered that no empire, no council had ever broken them. But there was still doubt. A scientist named Dr. Eleanor Voss spoke in the Geneva chamber, her voice trembling. "What if the EDE are too strong? What if their fleets surround us? What if they destroy us before we strike?" The Admiral did not shout at her. He did not dismiss her. He only said, "Then we vanish into the dark, and we make them pay for every star they take from us." There was silence again, but it was not fear. It was the silence of agreement. Slowly, humanity pulled back from the galaxy. Their embassies closed, their trade halted, their voices vanished from the council's ears. The galaxy believed humans were breaking apart, but in the shadows of the stars, humans were binding themselves tighter than ever. Colonies swore loyalty not out of fear, but out of pride. The fleets became invisible storms, hiding in the edges of space, waiting for the moment to strike. Whispers began to spread among alien traders. They said humans had gone silent, but silence was not weakness. Silence was the sound of sharpening blades. The council ignored the whispers, dismissing them as superstition. But in the darkness, every human ship, every human soldier, every human leader knew the truth. The walkout from the council was not the end. It was only the beginning, and above all, every human shared one thought. The council believed humanity needed them, but soon the galaxy would learn the opposite. It was the council that needed humanity, and when they realized their mistake, it would already be too late. At first, the council felt proud. They believed the humans were retreating into silence. They laughed at reports of empty trade lanes. They mocked whispers of human colonies vanishing from the charts. To the council, this was proof that humans were weak. "They are collapsing without us," the council leader declared, his golden eyes shining. "Our power has broken them. Soon they will return to beg." But time passed, and the silence grew strange. Alien merchants reported that human ships no longer asked for fuel or supplies. Entire routes that once bustled with human freighters had gone dark. At first, this was dismissed as a sign of poverty, but then came other stories of human fleets seen on the edges of star systems, fleets that vanished before anyone could count them, stories of colonies no longer sending distress calls because their defenses had suddenly grown stronger. The insectoid leader with shimmering wings rose in the chamber. "You call this collapse," she hissed. "I call it preparation. Humans are not disappearing. They are moving, quietly, together, as if preparing for something." The chamber grew restless, but arrogance was still strong. One scaled leader bared his fangs and laughed. "Let them prepare. What can they do against the council? Our fleets outnumber theirs 100-1. Our weapons can burn their worlds in hours." But even as he spoke, unease rippled through the chamber. The silence of the humans was not the silence of weakness. It was the silence of a predator waiting. Reports continued to arrive, and each one brought more fear. A patrol ship near the Orion sector vanished without sending a signal. A council station on the edge of human space found its supply lines cut, its docks abandoned. Merchants whispered that they had seen entire human convoys moving in perfect silence, ships flying without lights, vanishing into dark space. The council tried to explain these away. They called them rumors, but the rumors kept multiplying. One night in the council chamber, the insectoid leader slammed her wings against the wall. "You are blind," she cried. "Every piece of evidence tells us the same truth. Humans are gathering, humans are building, and you sit here laughing." The chamber split in two. Some still clung to arrogance, others began to tremble. But the council leader only raised his hand for silence. "They are children," he said. "Children with fire in their hands, yes. But still children. When the time comes, we will crush them. Do not let their silence frighten you. Yet, Then he felt a shadow in his heart, for in the long history of the galaxy, no species had ever walked out of the council. No species had dared. Humans had done it without a word, without fear, and without looking back. That kind of courage or madness was dangerous. Outside the chamber, fleets began to move. Council admirals received reports that human warships were spotted near forgotten star systems, but when the fleets arrived to investigate, they found nothing. No humans, no signals, no wreckage, only empty space. It was as if the humans had become ghosts, moving where they wanted, seen only when they allowed it. Fear spread in whispers through the lower ranks of the council armies. Soldiers who had once mocked humans now lowered their voices when they spoke of them. Some even refused patrols near human borders, claiming the silence itself was a weapon. Then came the turning sign. A border planet loyal to the Council sent a call for help. Their trade routes had been cut overnight, their skies filled with shadows of ships that did not answer hails. When a Council fleet was sent to investigate, the human ships did not fire. They simply surrounded the planet in silence, their guns aimed but still cold. The fleet commander panicked, retreating without a fight, and for the first time in centuries the Council felt powerless. Back in the Grand Chamber, the Council leader struck the table with rage. "This is intimidation," he roared. "This is not war, it is trickery. Do not let them frighten you." But his voice did not calm the chamber, for deep down every leader remembered the sight of the humans leaving, the silence of their footsteps, the silence of their refusal. And now that silence had grown into an empire of shadows, an empire that moved unseen, unstoppable, unchallenged, the insectoid leader whispered words that chilled the chamber. "You do not understand. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the sound of sharpening knives." And though many laughed nervously, none could shake the fear that spread a key. Ross, the galaxy, fear that humanity was no longer waiting for peace, fear that humanity was preparing for something far worse. The Council chamber was restless. For weeks they had received reports of human fleets appearing and vanishing like shadows. For weeks their outposts had gone silent, their merchants had spoken in whispers, their admirals had returned shaken. The arrogance that once filled the chamber was now cracked. Even the proudest voices began to falter. Then the news arrived that froze the galaxy. A messenger stumbled into the chamber, his voice shaking. "Council worlds, the core systems, they are surrounded." Gasps spread across the hall. Alien leaders rose to their feet, eyes wide with disbelief. The messenger continued. "Human fleets. Thousands of them. They appeared without warning. No battles, no signals, only silence. They block every major world, every major route. Our fleets are trapped." Panic broke out. Some leaders shouted orders that no one followed. Others begged for explanations. "How could this happen?" one cried. "They do not have such numbers. They should be broken," another shouted. "Their fleets were weak." But weakness was gone. Weakness had been replaced by precision, by patience, by silence. Every route humans had abandoned, every trade line they had cut, every retreat they had faked, it had all been part of their plan. Now the trap was closed. Outside the Council's shining homeworld, an armada stretched across the stars. Human ships of every class, from carriers to frigates, floated in perfect silence, their guns aimed but not firing, their lights dimmed, their hulls dark. They looked less like a fleet and more like a wall of shadows, a wall that could not be moved. The Council leader rose to his feet, his golden eyes trembling. "This cannot be," he said, his voice cracking. "We are the Council. They would not dare." But even as he spoke, the great doors opened. Every head turned. Silence fell heavy on the chamber. A single human walked in, alone, without guards, without fear. He stepped into the center of the chamber, his boots echoing like thunder. The alien leaders shrank back in their seats. None dared to speak first. Finally, the Council leader forced himself to stand tall. "You dare threaten us with fleets," he shouted. "This is an act of war." But Kessler only looked at him, his grey eyes calm, his voice steady. "We did not fire a single shot," he said. "We did not destroy a single ship. We did not take a single world. We only surrounded you." The words cut deeper than any weapon. The council leader tried to answer, but his voice faltered. Kessler continued, "You believed we would crawl back. You believed we were weak. But peace is not weakness. Peace is not surrender. Peace is built on respect." He stepped closer, his shadow falling over the golden-eyed leader. "And you offered us chains, not peace." The chamber was silent. No alien dared to move. Every leader felt the weight of the human fleets outside. Every leader felt the weight of the silence inside. Admiral Kessler raised his voice for the first time, sharp as steel. "Respect us or fear us, but never again dismiss us." Then, without waiting for a reply, he turned and walked out. The same way he had walked out weeks ago, silent, steady, unstoppable. The doors closed behind him, leaving the chamber frozen. No one laughed, no one mocked, no one dared speak. For in that moment, every leader of the Galactic Council knew the truth. They had made a mistake that could never be undone. Above their worlds, the silent fleets of humanity waited, not firing, not moving, only watching, and the galaxy understood a new law, a law written not with words, but with silence, a law that whispered through every star, peace is earned with respect, not demands. The Council had believed humans needed them, but in the end, it was the Council that needed humanity, and the galaxy would never forget the day the humans walked away, not in weakness, but in strength, not with surrender, but with silence, the silence that changed everything.